Melissa. I am just back from the Silhouette Summit, and I wanted to bring you everything you've been asking me about the new Silhouette CURIO. So this is one of 4 new machines that Silhouette announced at the summit that will be coming out here in fall 2023. So lots to get to. I want to show you some of the videos that I took there of the CURIO in action. I will tell you that Silhouette did not give anybody, including myself, a Silhouette CURIO or Cameo 5 ahead of time. So we have not been able to use them. None of us still have them. So unfortunately, everything that I'm going to be able to tell you and show you is basically on paper and also what I saw with my own 2 eyes. So let's get right to it. What I can tell you is that the 2nd generation Silhouette CURIO, as I mentioned, is one of the 4 new Silhouette cutting machines. So before we get to any of the details, it's important to understand 3 new technologies that also came out alongside the CURIO 2 that it will utilize. So we've got what they're calling the Silhouette New Architecture. SNA for short. Essentially, that is the design, the guts of the machines themselves. So it's the redesign and re-engineering of the new machines, which allows it to work quieter, faster, and with more precision. And there are a couple of features in there that take advantage of this. So we also have the electrostatic technology. So with the CURIO 2, that is the electrostatic base. It is actually included with the CURIO in the box. So this is a patented technology that will attach to the front of the Silhouette CURIO and gain its power from the CURIO itself when it's powered on. Now, I will tell you, because a lot of you keep asking me, it is an option. You do not have to use it. You will still be able to use a sticky mat. The CURIO obviously has been redesigned, so it's more of a flat base. You can push it up against the wall because it's the module along the top is what kind of rolls along this track, as opposed to the base system that you're used to with the previous version. So because of that, you'll be able to, instead of the sticky mat, you'll be able to use this electrostatic base. The base avoids the need to use the sticky mat. And so what that does is when you have thin papers and delicate cuts, what that's going to do is allow you to put your material directly on the electrostatic base. It will hold it with static electricity, hold the material with static electricity, and then you'll be able to cut, or whatever process you're doing, engrave, etch, whatever. And then when you are done, you can pull the material off the electrostatic base instead of pulling it off a sticky mat, which often causes especially delicate materials to tear and curl. So this is going to help prevent that. And then you also have the 3rd technology, which is called IPT, or Intelligent Path Technology. This is, again, an optional setting in Silhouette Studio that is going to have the software optimize the cutting sequence for paths. So as you know, a path is basically the shape of the design. So in a circle, it would be, just the path would be the circle. So the best way to really explain this kind of a difficult concept is, instead of a circle being cut from 12 o'clock to 12 o'clock, I want you to think that the machine, when IPT is enabled, will cut from 12 to 3, and then from 6 to 9, and then from 3 to 6, and then from 9 to 12. So what that is doing is it is allowing the material to remain intact and have pressure from all sides as long as possible to help prevent tear. So this is going to cause your cuts to take longer because the blade or the tool you're using has to keep picking up and moving to a new area, and it's instead of one continuous path. However, it will be interesting to see if it's worth it as far as the quality of the cuts. I imagine when you have very small, delicate cuts that are super intricate, this may be worth it, even though it is going to take longer. Now, the other thing that I will tell you is the CURIO 2. It is a 12 by 12 flatbed, as we talked about. It's a cutting machine. It can engrave. And there are 5 new tools now that actually can be used with it. So all 5 of the new tools that Silhouette announced can be used with the CURIO 2. That can't be said for any of the other machines. The portrait the portrait for the Cameo 5 or the Cameo 5 Plus. Those can all use some, but not all of these new machine or tools. So the Curio 2 still has a dual cutting blade, dual cutting carriage that you'll be able to use to engrave, emboss, cut. Because of the low profile of the base, that it doesn't move, as we talked about, you can put it up against the wall. However, the footprint, I will say, is bigger than the original Curio 2. Now, one thing that is a really big difference is they are getting away from that stacking platform system. So no longer are you going to have to stack platforms to create pressure and height. Instead, the blade module itself, the carriage itself, is what is going to be adjusting. That actually is equipped with an automatic height detection system that is going to look for the height of the material that's on the base and then adjust its height accordingly. So there is also a 20 millimeter clearance. This is the highest clearance in any of the Silhouette machines. That's going to allow you to do things like engraving or applying foil to things like books or canvas or, you know, those really thicker materials. And while the machine cannot cut things like wood and acrylic, you can put those thicker things like wood and acrylic on the Curio, and you will be able to engrave, emboss, foil, and actually now one of the new tools is a router. So you'll be able to do that as well. So the electrostatic mat we talked about, that is only going to be used, like I said, with thin materials. I'm talking like paper that's maybe 65 to 80 pound max. So you're not going to use it for things like vinyl. You're not going to use it necessarily for heat transfer vinyl. You're not even going to use it the majority of the time unless you are exclusively like a paper crafter. Put vellum on there. You could not put crepe paper on there. It's too rigid. The way the static mat works is it needs to have a really tight suction in order to keep the material flat. So the ridges in crepe paper will create air pockets, and essentially that won't work. Okay, so the other thing that you can do that Silhouette has kind of bragged about with this new ES base is the ability to stack materials. So for example, say you're cutting, say you have, you know, are going to be cutting a paper flower and you have a lot of petals to cut. You could stack 3, 4, 5 sheets of that material on top of each other on the electrostatic mat. Now, I will say you need to securely tape it down on all sides. And what I will say is if it's not taped down really well, it's not going to work. In fact, in one of the demos that I was in, this is what happened. It got very crinkled up because it was taped down on all 4 sides, but not the full edge. So just keep that in mind. This is going to take some experimenting with. Again, I don't have the machine, so it's a little difficult for me to say exactly, but I can just tell you what I witnessed basically. Because the Curio 2 can take advantage of this new IPT technology, that's the one where it's cutting strategically, you can actually optimize the sequence and direction, and you can use it in combination with that ES base, and that is what is going to give you the ability to cut in those multiple stacks of paper. Now, one thing to keep in mind with this IPT, and this is something that I couldn't get a clear answer on, but when the blade picks up for IPT, like remember when it's going to go from 12 to 3, and then it's going to pick up and it's going to go from say 6 to 9. I'm just making this order up. Now it's got to go back to 3 and then to 6. If the blade does not cut exactly starting on that same path, you end up with a little tab. And so the material itself doesn't actually fall out from the whole piece of material, and you might end up with a little tab, which is what we have when we're doing basically like matless cutting on the Cameo 4. That is not intentional, and that is something that you will need to be aware of. So just, again, keep that in mind. So the new power tools, there's 5 of them. The heat foil power tool, the power engraver, which is the one that I told you has a little router on the bottom. It spins very, very quickly. You can use that for things like acrylic, metal, things like that. The leather hole punch. Those 3 can only be used with the Curio 2. They cannot be used with any of the new machines nor any of the prior generation of Silhouette machines, including the Curio 1. Okay, and then we also have new embossing tools and a sketch pen adapter that can go in the right tool carriage or tool 2 opening up the ability to do sketch and cut or sketch and sketch with 2 different pens. That was not able to be done with prior versions of the previous generation of the machine. So the other thing that we have is I actually noticed here on the side of the Curio 2 carriage, there's this little door. I don't really think I was supposed to be seeing that, but if you look at the door, well, of course I found a door and I'm going to open it, and inside of there looks like there's a mounting system for some type of other attachment to be mounted there, as well as a USB-C port. So my guess is there's something more coming. Maybe a scanner, maybe a camera, maybe some kind of laser. I don't know. I can tell you the Cameo 5 doesn't have this little trap door, so it looks like it's going to be something that's only going to be for the Curio 2, okay? As far as what is in the box, and this is really important for those of you who are thinking of pulling the trigger right now and purchasing, okay? Because what is in the box is the Curio 2 itself, the sticky mat, the ES base, an auto blade, and a power adapter. First of all, you do not get a USB cord. So if you want to connect by USB, you will need to purchase that separately or use from another, machine. Most people probably have a USB hanging around. More importantly is the fact that out of the box, the Curio 2 is only a 12 by 12 cutting machine. And given that none of the blades or new tools are available yet, that means you won't be able to take advantage of any of the abilities of this machine except cutting with a auto blade. That's it. Unless you purchase the 1mm blade separately, which you can do, but that's not the heat foil, that's not the power engraver, that's not the leather punch. Any of the new generation tools are not yet available. So I'm just going to tell you that. And then the release date. The release date's kind of like a floating date. The Curio 2 is available now from certain resellers. Again, I will caution, none of us have this machine yet. We haven't been able to form an opinion at all, not even like a review. I'm talking about an opinion. I don't know because I don't have it. But what I can tell you is without real life users using these machines with the software, which the software is also the software might be out in beta, but without a machine, you can't test it. So just keep those types of things in mind. I can assure you these will be around for a while, so you'll be able to, especially as we get closer to holiday, the production and distribution and shipping will ramp up, so that will be available then, and hopefully by then also the new tools, at least a few of them, will be available too. So if you're interested in more information, I have a whole blog post on the Curio 2 on the blog as well. You can find that below. If you're looking for where to order or pre-order, I also have links. Of course, I always recommend Swing Design. They have 50,000 5-star reviews. They have customer service. I've worked with them and bought from them for years. And they always have the best bundles. Those bundles are not quite available yet, but I will tell you that the reason for that is because none of these accessories and extra tools are available yet, so it's a little bit difficult to, go in that direction. So if you guys are looking for any of that, make sure you check it out. If you're looking for one-on-one help, I will obviously eventually be offering that as well on Silhouette U, and you can sign up for a 7-day free trial. If you're looking for more information on the Cameo 5 Plus, Portrait, all that good stuff, all in the comments below, or in the description below. See you soon.